This is what history looks like.
This analysis leads to a view of organized communism and social democracy not as deviations from an ideal model, but rather as capitalist institutions. That is to say, institutions tending to manipulate capitalist society in the direction of greater efficiency and a greater concentration of power.
Comrades, you have been invited to this forum today to exchange ideas and examine the relationship between work in the literary and artistic fields and revolutionary work in genre. Our aim is to ensure that revolutionary literature and art follow the correct path of development and provide better help to another revolutionary work in facilitating the overthrow of all national in mind and the accomplishment of the task of national liberation in all struggle for the liberation of the Chinese people. There are various fronts, among which there are the front of the pen and of the gun, the cultural and military fronts. To defeat the enemy, we must rely primarily on the army with guns. But this army alone isn't enough. We must also have a control army, which is absolutely indispensable for hunting all wrongs and defeating the enemy. Since the main first moment, such a control army has taken shape in China, and it has helped to the Chinese Revolution gradually reduce the domain of China's feudal control and end of camaraderie control with servers in imperialist injection and weakened their influence to oppose the new control. The Chinese reactionaries can not only hit quietly against quietly. In other words, reactionaries have money, and though they can pronounce nothing good, they can go all out and pronounce in quantity. Literature and art have been important and successful part of the front since the May 4th moment. During the 10 years Civil War, the revolutionary literature and the art movement greatly. That moment and the Revolutionary Wars both ended in the same general direction, but these two fragile armies were not linked together in their practical work because the reactionaries had cut them off from each other. It's very good that since the outbreak of the war of Rajasthan, against Japan, more and more revolutionary rights and artists have been coming to Yunnan and all other anti-Japanese based arts, but it doesn't necessarily follow that. Having come to the best arts, they have already integrated themselves completely with the masses of the people here. The two must be completely integrated if we are to push ahead with our revolutionary work. The purpose of our meeting today in precisely to ensure that literature and art fit well into the world revolutionary matching as a component part, that they operate as powerful vehicles for acting and educating the people and for attacking and destroy the enemy, and that they help the people finger the enemy with one heart and one mind. What are the problems that must be solved to achieve this objective? I think that they are the problems of the class, standard, the right, and the artist. Their attitude, their all this dynamics, all their nice, their work and their study. The problem of class study or stand is that of the production like right and of the masses for members of the Communist Party. This means keeping to the stand of the party, keeping to party spirit and party policy. Are there any of or literary and artworks who are still mistaken or not clear in their understanding of this problem? I think there are. Many of our comrades have frequently departed from the protect stand. The problem of attitude from one stand therefore specific attitudes towards specific matters. For instance, if one to equal or to equals, this is the question of attitude. Which attitude is wonky? I would say both. The question is, whom are you dealing with? There are three kinds of presence: the in mind, or lies in the anti from and all people. The last are the masses and their vanguard. But they need to adopt a different attitude towards each of their three. With regard to the in mind, that is, Japanese imperialism and all the other methods of the people. The text of revolutionary rights and artistic is two equals their stability and quality, and at the same time to point of the evolutionary invertibility of their defect, so as to encumber the anti-Japanese army and the people to stalk with one heart and one mind for their overthrow. With regard to all different allies in the anti-front, all attitude should be one of both likeness and criticism, and there should be different kinds of alliance and different kinds of the criticism. we suffered. Then in their resistance to Japan and the president for any achievement. But if they are not active in the work of Russia, we should criticize them. If anyone opposes the Communist Party and the people that keep moving down the path of rejection, we will friendly opens him, and for the masses of the people, their toll and their stranger, their army and their party. We should prices them. The people too have their shortcomings. Among the proletariat, many petty bourgeois ideas, while both the peasants and unborn petty bourgeois have backward ideas. These are pundits, Humphrey, Henry, then in their strangers. We should be punished and spend a long time inducting them and helping them to get this loss of their band and combat their own shortcomings and errors, so that they can advise with great strangers. They have remodeled themselves in stranger or are doing so, and all literature and art should depict these prices as long as they don't praise piracy in their inroads. We should not dwell on their negative side and consequently make the mistake of ridiculing them all. Wrong still of being hostile to them. Our writings should help them to make progress, to cross ahead with one heart and one mind. To describe what is backward and develop what is revolutionary and should clearly not do the opposite. The problem of the undanced i.e., the people from one or works of literature and art are produced in the sensing council meetings from the ranger and anti-Japanese bands areas of North and China. This problem different from that in Kuomintang and Anred, and different still more from that in Shanghai before the War of Rustic. In the Shanghai trial, the oldest Andes district for works of revolutionary literature and art consisted mainly of a section of the students of fake works and soft artists. After the outbreak of the War of Resistance, the artists in the Kuomintang areas became somewhat weathered, but it still consisted mainly
at the
of
Chinese Communist Party's National Conference on Propaganda Work, March 12, 1957. Comrades, our conference has gone very well. Many questions have been raised during the conference, and we have learned about many things. I shall now make a few remarks on questions the comrades have been discussing. We're living in a period of great social change. Chinese society has been going through great changes for a long time. The war of resistance against Japan was one period of great change, and the war of liberation another. But the present change is much more profound in character than the earlier ones. We're now building socialism. Hundreds of millions of people are taking part in the movement for socialist transformation. Class relations are changing throughout the country. The petty bourgeois in agriculture and handicrafts and the bourgeois in industry and commerce have both undergone a change. Social and economic system has been changed. Individual economy has been transformed into collective economy. Capitalist private ownership is being transformed into socialist public ownership. Changes of such magnitude are of course reflected in people's mind. Man's social being determines his consciousness. People of different classes, strata, and social groups react differently to the great change in our social system. The masses eagerly support them, for life itself has confirmed that socialism is the only way out for China. Overthrowing the old social system and establishing a new one, the system of socialism is a great struggle, a great change in the social system and in man's relations with each other. It should be said that the situation is basically sound, but the new social system has only just been established and requires time for its consolidation. It must not be assumed that the new system can be completely consolidated the moment it is established, for that is impossible. It has to be consolidated step by step. To achieve its ultimate consolidation, it is necessary not only to bring about the socialist industrialization of the country and preserve in the socialist revolution on the economic front, but to carry on constant and arduous socialist revolutionary struggles and socialist education on the political and ideological fronts. Moreover, various contributory international factors are required. In China, the struggle to consolidate the socialist system, the struggle to decide whether socialism or capitalism will prevail, will still take a long historical period. We should all realize that the new system of socialism will unquestionably be consolidated. We can assuredly build a socialist state with modern industry, modern agriculture, and modern science and culture. This is the first point I want to make. Secondly, let us consider the situation regarding the intellectuals in our country. No accurate statistics are available on the number of intellectuals in China. It is established that there are about 5 million of all kinds, including both higher and ordinary intellectuals. Of this 5 million, the overwhelming majority are patriotic, love our people's republic, and are willing to serve the people and the socialist state. A small number do not quite like socialism and are not very happy. They are still skeptical about socialism, but they are patriotic when it comes to facing imperialism. The number of intellectuals who are hostile to our state is very small. They do not like our state, i.e., dictatorship of the proletariat and young for old society. Whenever there is opportunity, and they will stir up trouble and attempt to overthrow the Communist Party and restore the old China. As between the proletariat and the bourgeois roles, as between the socialist and the capitalist roles, these people stubbornly choose to follow the latter. In fact, this road is impossible, and in fact, therefore, they are ready to capitulate to imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucratic capitalism. Such people are to be found in political circles and in industrial and commercial, cultural, and educational, scientific, and technological and religious circles, and they're extremely reactionary. They account for only 1 or 2 or 3% of the 5 million intellectuals. The overwhelming majority, or well over 90% of the total 5 million, support socialism system in varying degrees. Many of them are not yet quite clear on how to work under socialism and how to understand, handle, and solve many new problems. As far as the attitude of the 5 million intellectuals towards Marxism is concerned, one may say that over 10%, comprising the communists and sympathizers, are relatively familiar with Marxism and take a firm stand of the proletariat. Among the total of 5 million, they are a minority, but they are the nucleus and the powerful force. Majority have the desire to study Marxism and have already learned a little, but they are not yet familiar with it. Some of them still have doubts. Their stand is not yet firm, and they vacillate in moments of stress. This section of intellectuals, constituting the majority of the 5 million, is still in an intermediate state. The number who strongly oppose Marxism or are hostile to it is very small. Some people actually disagree with Marxism, although they do not openly say so. There will be people of this sort for a long time to come, and we should allow them to disagree. Take some of the idealists, for example. They may support the political and economic system of socialism, but disagree with the Marxist world outlook. The same holds true for the patriotic people in religious circles. They are theists, and we are antheists. We cannot force them to accept the Marxist world outlook. In short, attitude of the 5 million intellectuals towards Marxism may be summed up as follows. Those who support Marxism and are relatively familiar with it are the minority. Those who oppose it are also a minority. And the majority support Marxism but are not familiar with it and support it in varying degrees. Here the stands taken are of 3 different kinds: resolute, wavering, and antagonistic. And this situation will evidently continue for a long time to come. If we fail to recognize respect, we shall make too great a demand on others and at the same time set ourselves to small a task. Our comrades in propaganda work have the task of disseminating Marxism. This has to be done gradually and done well so that people willingly accept it. We cannot force people to accept Marxism. We can only persuade them. Over a period of several 5 years, plans a fairly large number of our intellectuals accept Marxism and acquire a fairly good grasp of it through their actual work and life, through the practice of class struggle, production, and scientific activity. That will be fine. And that is what we hope will happen. Thirdly, there is a question of the remolding of the intellectuals. Ours is a culturally underdeveloped country. For a vast country like ours, 5 million intellectuals are too few. Without intellectuals, our work cannot be done well. And we should therefore do a good job of uniting with them. Socialist society mainly comprises 3 sections of people: the workers, the peasants, and the intellectuals. Intellectuals are mental workers. Their work is in the service of the people, that is, in the service of the workers and the peasants. As far as in the majority of intellectuals are concerned, they can serve the new China as they did the old, and serve the proletariat as they did the bourgeois. When the intellectuals served old China, the left wing resisted, the intermediate section wavered, and only the right wing was resolute. Now, when it comes to serving the new society, the situation is reversed. The left wing is resolute. The intermediate section wavers. This living in the new society is different from that in the old society. And the right wing resists. Moreover, intellectuals are educators. Our newspapers are educating the people every day. Our writers and artists, scientists and technicians, professors and teachers are all educating students, educating the people. Being educators and teachers, they themselves must first be educated. And all the more so in the present period of great change in the social system. They have had some Marxist education in the last few years, and some have studied very hard and made great progress. But the majority still have a long way to go before they can completely replace the bourgeois world outlook with the proletarian world outlook. Some people have read a few Marxist books and think themselves quite learned. But what they have read has not penetrated, has not stuck root in their minds, so that they do not know how to use it, and their class feelings remain as of old. Others are very conceited of having learned more book phrases, think themselves terrific and very cocky. But whenever a storm blows up, they take a stand very different from that of the workers and majority of the peasants. They favor, well, the latter stand firm. They equivocate, well, the latter are for right. Hence, it is wrong to assume that people who educate others no longer need to be educated and no longer need to study, or that socialist remolding means remolding others, the landlords, capitalists, and the individual producers, and not the intellectuals. Intellectuals, too, need remolding, and not only those who have not changed their basic stand. Everybody should study and remold himself. I say everybody, and this includes us who are present here. Conditions are changing all the time, and to adapt one's thinking to the new conditions, one must study. Even those who have a better grasp of Marxism and are comparatively forming their proletarian stand have to go on studying, have to absorb what is new and tackle new problems. Unless they rid their minds of what is unsound, intellectuals cannot undertake the task of educating others. Naturally, we have to learn well teaching and the pupils well serving as teachers. To be a good teacher, one must first be a good pupil. There are many things which cannot be learned from books alone. One must learn from those engaged in production, from the workers, from the poor and lower middle peasants, and in schools, from the students, from those one teaches. In my opinion, the majority of intellectuals are willing to learn. It is our task to help them warm-heartedly and in a proper way on the basis of their willingness to study. We must not resort to compulsion and force them to study. Fourthly, there is a question of the integration of the intellectuals with the masses of workers and peasants. Since their task is to serve the masses of workers and peasants, intellectuals must first and foremost know them and be familiar with their life, work, and ideas. We encourage the intellectuals to go among the masses, to go to factories and villages. It is very bad if you never in all your life meet a worker or peasant. Our government workers, writers, artists, teachers, and scientific research workers should seize every opportunity to get close to the workers and peasants. Some can go on factories or villages just to look around. This may be called looking at the flowers well on horseback, and is better than nothing at all. Others can stay there for a few months, conducting investigations and making friends. This may be called dismounting to look at the flowers. Still others can stay and live there for a considerable time, and say 2 or 3 years or even longer. This may be called settling down. Some intellectuals do live among the workers and peasants. For instance, the individual technicians in factories and agricultural technicians and rural school teachers in the countryside. They should do their work well and integrate themselves with the workers and peasants. We should create an atmosphere in which getting close to the workers and peasants virtually becomes a habit. In other words, we should have large numbers of intellectuals doing so. Not all of them, of course. Some are unable to go for one reason or another. But we hope that as many as possible will go. They cannot all go at the same time, but they can go in batches at different times. In the old days when we were in Yan'an, the intellectuals were enabled to make direct contact with workers and peasants. Many of them in Yan'an were very confused in their thinking and came out with all sorts of queer arguments. we held a forum, advising them to go among the masses. Later, many went, and the results were very good. Until an intellectual's book knowledge is integrated with practice, it is not complete, and they may be very incomplete indeed. It is chiefly through reading books that intellectuals acquire the experience of our predecessors. Of course, it is necessary to read books, but by itself it does not solve problems. One must study the actual situation, examine practical experience and concrete material, and make friends with workers and peasants. Making friends with workers and peasants is no easy job. Even now, when people go to factories or villages, the results are good in some cases, but not in others. What is involved here is the question of stance or attitude, that is, of one's world outlook. We advocate letting 100 schools of thought content, and in every branch of learning, there may be many schools and trends. In the matter of world outlook, however, today there are basically only two schools, the proletarian and the bourgeois. It is one or the other, either the proletarian or the bourgeois world outlook. The communist world outlook is the world outlook of the proletariat and no other class. Most of our present intellectuals come from the old society and from families of non-working people. Even those who come from workers or peasant families are still bourgeois intellectuals because the education they received before liberation was a bourgeois education, and their world outlook was fundamentally bourgeois. If they do not discard the old and replace it with the proletarian world outlook, they will remain different from the workers and peasants in their viewpoint, stand and feeling, and will be like square pegs in round holes, and the workers and peasants will not open their hearts to them. If the intellectuals integrate themselves with the workers and peasants and make friends with them, the Marxism they have learned from books they become truly their own. In order to have a real grasp of Marxism, one must learn it not only from books, but mainly from class struggle, through practical work, and close contact with the masses of workers and peasants. When in addition to reading some Marxist books, our intellectuals have gained some understanding through close contact with the masses of workers and peasants, and through their own practical work, we will all be speaking the same language, not only the common language of patriotism and the common language of the socialist system, but probably even the common language of the communist world outlook. If that happens, all of us will certainly work much better. Fifth, there is rectification. Rectification means correcting one's way of thinking and style of work. Rectification movements were conducted within the Communist Party during the anti-Japanese War. During the War of Liberation and the early days after the founding of the People's Republic of China, now the Central Committee of the Communist Party has decided on another rectification within the party to be started this year. Non-party people may take part in it, or they need it, not if they do not wish to. The main thing is, in this rectification movement is to criticize the following three errors in one's way of thinking and style of work. Subjectivism, bureaucracy, and sectarianism. As in the rectification movement in the anti-Japanese war, the method this time will be first to study a number of documents, and then, on the basis of such study, to examine one's own thinking and work, and unfound criticism and self-criticism to expose shortcomings and mistakes and promote what is right and good. On the one hand, we must be strict and conduct criticism and self-criticism of mistakes and shortcomings seriously, and not perfunctorily and correct them. On the other hand, we must not be rough, but must follow the principles of learning from past mistakes to avoid future ones and curing the sickness to save the patient. And we must oppose the method of finishing people off with a single blow. Ours is a great party, a glorious party, a correct party. This must be affirmed as a fact. But we still have shortcomings, and this too must be affirmed as a fact. We should not affirm everything, but only what is correct. At the same time, we should not negate everything, but only what is wrong. Our achievements are the main thing in our work, and yet there are not a few shortcomings and mistakes. That is why we need a rectification movement. Will it undermine our party's prestige if we criticize our own subjectivism, bureaucracy, and sectarianism? I think not. On the contrary, it will serve to enhance our party's prestige. The rectification movement during the anti-Japanese war proves this. It enhanced the prestige of our party and our party comrades and our veteran cadres, and they also enabled the new cadres to make great progress. Which of the two was afraid of criticism? The Communist Party or the Kuomintang? The Kuomintang. It prohibited criticism, but that did not save it from final defeat. The Communist Party does not fear criticism because we're Marxists. The truth is on our side. The basic masses, the workers, and the peasants are on our side. As we used to say, the rectification movement is a widespread movement of Marxist education. Rectification means the whole party studying Marxism through criticism and self-criticism. We can certainly learn more about Marxism in course of the rectification movement. The transformation and construction of China depend on us for leadership. When we have rectified our way of thinking and style of work, we shall enjoy greater initiative in our work, become more capable, and work better. Our country has need of many people who wholeheartedly serve the masses and the cause of socialism, and who are determined to bring about changes. We communists should all be the people of this kind. In old China, it was a crime to talk about reforms, and offenders would be beheaded or imprisoned. Nevertheless, they were determined reformers who fearing nothing, published books and newspapers, educated and organized the people, and waged indomitably under every kind of difficulty. The people's democratic dictatorship has paved the way for the rapid economic and cultural development of our country. It is only a few years since the establishment of our state, and yet people can already see the unprecedented flowering of economy, culture, education, science. In building up the new China, we communists are not daunted by any difficulties whatever. But we cannot accomplish this on our own. We need a good number of non-party people with great ideals who will fight dauntlessly together with us for the transformation and construction of our society in the direction of socialism and communism. It is an arduous task to ensure a better life for the several hundred million people of China and to build our economically and culturally backward country into a prosperous and powerful one with a high level of culture. Therefore, in order to be able to shoulder this task more competently and work better together with all non-party people who are actuated by high ideals and determined to institute reforms, we must conduct rectification movements both now and in the future, and constantly rid ourselves of whatever is wrong. Thoroughgoing materialists are fearless. We hope that all our fellow fighters will courageously shoulder their responsibilities and overcome all difficulties, fearing no setbacks or gifts or hesitating to criticize us, communists, and give us their strong suggestions. He who is not afraid of death by 1,000 cuts dares to unhorse emperor. This is the indomitable spirit needed in our struggle to build socialism and communism. On our part, we communists should create conditions helpful to those who cooperate with us, establish good comradely relations with them in our common work, and unite with them in our joint struggle. Sixthly, there is a question of one-sidedness. One-sidedness means thinking in terms of absolutes. That is a metaphysical approach to problems. In the prism of our work, it is one-sided to regard everything either as all positive or as all negative. There are quite a few people inside the Communist Party and every many outside it who do just that. To regard everything as positive is to see only the good and not the bad, and to tolerate only praises and no criticism. To talk as though our work is good in every respect is at variance and with the facts. It's not true that everything is good. There are still shortcomings and mistakes. But neither is that true that everything is bad, and that too is at variance with the facts, and we must analyze things concretely. To negate everything is to think, without having made any analysis, that nothing has been done well, and that the great work of socialist construction, the great struggle in which hundreds of millions of people are participating, is a complete mess with nothing in it worth commending. Although there is a difference between the many people who hold such views and those who are hostile to the socialist system, these views are very mistaken and harmful and can only dishearten people. It is wrong to appraise our work either from the viewpoint that everything is positive or from the viewpoint that everything is negative. We should criticize those people who take such a one-sided approach to problems. Though of course it's criticizing them, we should help them keeping to the principle of learning from past mistakes to avoid future ones and curing sickness to save the patient. Some people say, since there is to be a rectification movement, and since everyone is to be asked to express his opinions, one-sidedness is unavoidable, and therefore is calling for elimination of one-sidedness. It seems that you really don't want people to speak up. Is this assertion right? It is naturally difficult for everyone to avoid any trace of one-sidedness. People always examine and handle problems and express their views in light of their own experience. And unavoidably, they sometimes show a little one-sidedness. However, should we not ask them gradually to overcome their one-sidedness and to look at problems in a relatively all-sided way? In my opinion, we should. Otherwise, we will be stagnating. We should be approving one-sidedness and contradicting the whole purpose of rectification if we did not make the demand that from day to day